Hello everyone, this is Attorney Grant A. Toeppen. I am a probate and estate planning attorney based in Manteca, California. I have an office in Livermore, California, and today I'm going to be showing everyone how I fill out the Confidential Conservator Screening Form for a conservatorship of the person, limited conservatorship of the person only, I should say. So I should say before we get going, nothing in this video constitutes legal advice. Nothing in this video creates a legal relationship between me and anyone or any other entity. Okay, so let's jump on in. So we're going to start by filling out the header here, the caption. I'm pretending I'm not an attorney, so I'm not going to put my bar number. I think it's best that you put your home address here. Unless that's sensitive information, then just put your best mailing address. I'm putting my office address just because I'm more comfortable putting that on the internet than my home address. Best number to reach you at, fax is optional, email is optional. You are attorney for yourself. In pro per, it's Latin for basically you're self-represented. You're an attorney for yourself. So Superior Court of California, County of San Joaquin is where I'm doing it. You will likely be doing it in the county where the proposed limited conservatee is domiciled. Make sure you have the right address for the court. Many counties have more than one court, so you want to make sure that you get the right one. Making up a name here. I'm doing the conservatorship of John Smith. So case number, hearing date and time, department. This will all be filled out by the court clerk when this is filed. Typically, this is required filing at the same time as the petition. So this is something that will be started with. This is the one of the leading steps in getting a conservatorship done with the initial filing. So we're going to do conservatorship of the person, limited conservatorship. So this form must remain confidential. This contains a lot of sensitive information about the proposed conservators. The reason for that is basically the court investigator is going to look into the background of the proposed conservators before coming out and doing the interview with the proposed conservators and people in the family, people who may live in the home with the proposed conservatee, neighbors, friends. Sometimes it's not super in-depth, sometimes it is, but they always come and talk with the proposed conservators and proposed conservatee, and they always use this form beforehand to see if there's anything that might raise an eyebrow, so to speak. So you will see that I provide them with all this information to make it so they can look into my background. So the proposed conservator, Grant A. Toeppen, date of birth. I'm just going to make up my date of birth. I don't think anyone needs to know that. Social security number, I'm just going to make that up. Driver's license number, blah. State, California. Telephone number, I'll put my office number here. Of course, fill this all out correctly for you. I'm just, putting this on the internet, so I'm being a little cautious about what I put out there. But since this will be filed confidentially and it's critical that it be correct, make sure that it's filed with the court. So I am related to the proposed conservatee as, let's pretend John Smith is my son, so I would be the father. I personally know the proposed conservatee for, let's pretend that he is 19 years old in 1 month. You would just, if I was the parent, I would do it basically the entire life of the proposed conservatee, but whatever is the right answer here, you put it in. So 3, either I was or I was not nominated as the conservator of the person or estate of the proposed conservatee by the proposed conservatee or the spouse or registered domestic partner of proposed conservatee or a parent of the proposed conservatee. So there's no legal requirement that one be nominated. It sure helps. But in cases like this, where I am the person applying and no one else is going to contest to this, why make myself do the extra work of getting a nomination in there? It's not going to be an issue. So I would just say I was not nominated as the conservator of the person by the proposed conservatee. There. So am I the spouse of the proposed conservatee? No, I am not the spouse. So for 4, you need to make sure A or B is checked. All right. or you'll have an issue in the probate notes that needs to be cleaned up, or I will have an issue in the probate notes that needs to be cleaned up, usually by a verified declaration. 5, either I am the registered domestic partner or a former domestic partner, or I am not. I'm not. So on 5, I need to make sure either A, B, or C is filled out. 6, I do or I do not owe money or have a financial obligation to the proposed conservatee. If I do, explain in attachment 6. So the rule of thumb for all of these, because they're going to ask for explanations for almost all of the next questions, be forthcoming. Put the information out there. Don't hide it. They are going to find it anyways, and I would look horrible if I was caught lying on this form. It's better for me to tell the truth and make sure that there is a full investigation. All right. The proposed conservatee does not owe money or have a financial obligation to me, typically the case. Either I am or I am not an agent for a creditor of the proposed conservatee. So either I have or I have not filed for bankruptcy protection in the last 10 years. Either I have or I have been not convicted of a felony or had a felony expunged from my record. Either I have or have not been charged with, arrested for, convicted of embezzlement, theft, or any other crime involving the taking of property. Either I have or I have not been charged with, arrested for, convicted of a crime involving fraud, conspiracy, or misrepresentation of information. I either have or I have not been charged with, arrested for, convicted of any form of elder abuse or neglect. I either have or I have not had a restraining order or a protective order filed against me in the last 10 years. Either I have or I have not required to register as a sex offender under California Penal Code. Either I have or I have not previously been appointed conservator, executor, or fiduciary in another proceeding. Either I have or I have not been removed or resigned as conservator, guardian, executor, or fiduciary in any other case. Either I have or I may have or I do not have an adverse interest that the court may consider to be a risk to or to have an effect on my ability to faithfully perform the duties of conservator. Either I am or I am not a professional private fiduciary as defined in Business and Professions Code. Either I am or I am not currently licensed by the Professional Fiduciaries Bureau of the Department of Consumer Affairs. Either I am or I am not a responsible corporate officer authorized to act for, name of corporation. Do you or does any other person living in your home, notice on that, any other person living in your home have a social worker or a parole or probation officer assigned to him or her? Yes or no? This is a good opportunity for me to add. Sometimes the court will ask that this background form be filled out for anyone who lives in the home with the proposed limited conservatee. So sometimes it's a good idea to just get that out there, or you might see it come up in the probate notes. Some courts require it, some don't. Worth a mention. So then, the easy part, date, I'm doing this on 1/1/18, or 2020, I mean 1/18/2020, and grant a Toeppen, then I'd sign, then, I'd make my copies, bring in my original and my copies, and we'd be good to go, get it all filed. So that's how I do this one. I hope this was helpful. Thanks.